Today is Monday, July 12, 2004. This is a meeting of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners.
I think everybody should have an opportunity. Mrs. Miller's not with us?
No.
329.
She went to Colorado.
What's in Colorado?
Family.
Pardon?
Family.
Family. Okay, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
All in favor. I'll second. All in favor.
Aye. I hope you have to sign all these alone.
How did you do, Fred, on your weekend? Okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Everything was actually
We resolved the the agape issue. I talked to Jared.
They're going to be there a while yet. But I think that we should look at whatever we can do to...
Well, I told them to red tag everything.
And that's what they did, I think.
And let them know that they'll be periodically checking, and that office needs to be out of there too.
But I think the owner...
See, I don't, and then I said to Jared, you know, after the article in the paper about the INS, you know, that, and I said, and then we go up there and kick people out. And he said, these are Hispanic. And I said, oh, well, then that tells me Agape is starting up again, or trying to. And so...
Did you hear how many units I got that rented up there? Something like about 30 units, I think.
Really? Yeah. Jared told me there was only 2 families up there right now. At least that's what I understood.
Well, now that's... I talked to Greg on that. There were about 30 units. Now, maybe he was counting on both sides of the road.
Yeah, probably, I bet.
He must have been.
The houses on the other side of the road, I don't know that much about them. If they're up to code or...
Well, don't look. But they won't be, but they're individual houses.
Yeah. But I said, you know, if we got it red tagged and we've warned them, and I don't know if that will help our liability.
I think it will.
But not doing anything jeopardizes, I think.
Well, I agree. You know, I guess my thought is you recognize it, you give them proper time to vacate the premise, but there is a deadline they need to live by, and then if you go through and you take action like what was going on Friday, then I think you're typically within your right to do it.
We can't be responsible liability-wise for everybody in the county that does something illegal. That guy is doing something illegal. We need to correct it.
Sounds like, or this looks like the Waterfallies is
It'll be one big party.
well and happy, and
I hope they are. This deal breaking away from that hydroprop. It may
be
limit
just what we needed.
Well, it may or may not.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that it may limit the number of boats that come in, and that can be a problem.
When is the waterfall this year?
Starting the 25th, I think.
24th, I thought.
Or-
Yeah, 24th and 25th.
Also, it'll actually be starting up around the 21st.
If they get...
Yeah, it's always the last Sunday in July, so it's really a week early.
If they can use the same number of boats, there's no advantage to being a member of Hydropomp. But if they only get half the number of boats, it's going to limit the whole operation. I'm sure this is what they're concerned about. I think Detroit, did Detroit take away from Hydropomp? One of the other big...
Evansville, I think.
One of the big residents.
And I guess they had a good race. What's her name? The executive director, Emily. She and one of the board members went back.
Janikowski? I think Janikowski was in that Kill Tradition out there. That was one of those houses being built. He had a road. But she's located on it.
Eva, do you mind if we move that finance meeting to 1 o'clock?
That's fine. I'd just soon stay at 11.
I can do that if somebody else can.
No, I think the auditor treasurer staff wanted it later, didn't they?
Yeah, but they did agree to moving it up to 1, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, it's fine with me. I'll probably just stay through.
Pat, you've made a terrible showing is what I want you to know.
Thank you very much, sir. I tried very hard.
I'm awfully disappointed. I see this quality of work.
Look at that stack ahead of us.
Oh my God, yeah, but look at that.
Well, when you play hooky on Wednesday, you have to make up for it on Monday. Sir.
We're being punished.
No. No punishment. Just the work must carry on.
The work must go
Were
through.
we here Wednesday?
It won't be this Wednesday.
No, but last Wednesday we were, weren't we?
No,
Sue and I?
no,
No,
just Monday.
just Monday.
Where was Sue?
I don't know.
See, the meeting was Wednesday and not Monday. See, Monday was.
Yeah, Monday was a holiday.
Oh,
that was
okay.
it.
I was going to say, I thought we were here.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It was
Mr. Brock, those are all carbon, so every time you write on that one, it goes through all of them. I just thought I would remind you that.
Don't tell me that. I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't think he goes hard. Oh, my stomach is growling. How come?
Didn't have breakfast?
Yes, I had fresh apricots. That's probably what's the matter. They're growling at me.
Mm. That'll do it.
What?
Here. What? You got it.
This.
Black?
Powder.
Oh, powder.
Were you telling us something, Pat?
No.
Me. My white shoulders bath powder. Go kind of crazy with it.
I had something kind of unusual happen to me Saturday morning. I was standing out in the parking lot getting ready to leave the Howard Johnson's hotel, and this black gal came up and asked if she could get a ride over to her house because her car had broken down. And I said, yeah, we're getting ready to take off. And I said, I'm parked right over here. So I saw her pull in. She was in a white Pontiac van. And then just a few minutes later, she came up and she was talking to me in the parking lot, and I said I'd give her a ride home. And I said, oh, I'm with my family. And she said, oh, you have your family? And I said, yeah, let's give you a ride. So when we got into the truck, she was really nervous, and I said, okay, we're going to take off. And so as I was pulling out, I noticed the white van come up behind us. And then when I turned to look, it pulled over like it was going to check out, and I didn't think too much about it. So I took off down the road, and like I said, she was really nervous, and we were kind of wondering what was going on with her too, So we got to where she said she just dropped me off here at the stop sign. So I said, okay. And she said, well, you need to take a left. And I thought, well, I'm just going to take a U-turn. I turned around, and that white van was right behind us. So I actually called the sheriff's department. I said, I don't know, what was going on, but it seemed kind of suspicious. And it almost seemed like it just seemed really suspicious to us, like this white van that I'd see him pull in and then have him follow me all the way out to her place. Kind of
Well, you're probably lucky you had a family with you.
I
You were
heard
set
all
up.
about it.
You were set up.
I think so too. Yeah, my family was not happy with me.
No.
Well, I thought maybe somebody needed some help. But I'll be pretty wary about that.
You look like a patsy. That's what you look like.
Well, she told me that her car had broken down, and then she told Caroline and Derek another story. She said that somebody had gotten sick and she needed a ride home or something. Yeah, I don't think I'm doing that again.
Where was this?
In Bremerton.
Oh, it's a big street. That might have been a regular pattern, you know, to...
Well, I thought so. I called the sheriff's department. I said, this might be...
What'd they say?
They took all the information down and got my...
Did you get the van's number?
No, I didn't. No, it's just when I turned a U-turn and came back around, the guy pulled over and he just was kind of looking the other way. He didn't look at us at all.
Well, did they pick her up?
I don't know. They sent a patrol officer out to kind of check it out. I told him where we dropped her off and where I met her at. And, I was just asking. I said, I don't know if this is something that's happened or maybe there's something going on, but I thought maybe you'd just like to know this is what happened. I didn't hear nothing back.
This day and age, I just don't think you pick up anybody. I mean, especially after what happened in Kennewick over the weekend. Isn't that sad?
Yeah, oh God, I guess, yeah. Have you stopped picking up guys leaving now?
Never did. Phil used to hitchhike all the time.
So did I.
Huh? You did? Oh my word. I'd have walked before I'd have gone in the car with somebody I didn't know.
When I was 15, a buddy of mine and I were hitchhiking to Florida. We got through 6 states before they caught us. They sent us back home.
I hitchhiked home from basic training at Fort Ord
Yeah, that's...
many years ago.
That's right.
Ended up in Kennewick. I got to ride all the way to Kennewick, out of Klamath Falls.
Boy, what a desolate place. In those days, Klamath Falls was.
When I got back here, though, I had trouble getting a ride because I'd had trouble with servicemen here at that time. So I called over to she, and I got a hold of my wife, and she came over. My sister and brother-in-law and picked me up. Lord, what a mess.
Well, since you're signing, are you so inclined to join the tenant appreciation lunch on Thursday, July 22nd for the Port of Pasco? They would appreciate it. RSVP.
When is it?
It's the day, well, you're gone.
Okay.
It's the day that we're having our grand opening at the RV Park.
Oh, what time is our grand opening?
10:30.
Put me down tentative on that, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice thing to go to.
Mm-hmm.
It is nice.
You going?
Well, if one of the commissioners don't go, then I go.
She won't be going.
Well,
She's out of
no,
town.
if
Well, you should go.
Well, it says you and 3 guests are invited, so
you can put me down.
What
Meeting
about the hotel
spouses.
grand opening out there, Fred? You know what?
You know, they gave me a date on that, and I don't
it says
recall.
22nd, but I don't have a time.
Hotel
Same day?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a busy day for
Frank,
grand
you know I'm going to be out of town to the Risk Bowl. So you'll have to do the little speech, and I'm sure I have all the confidence in the world that my pro tem chairman will do
We'll
a
handle that. Yeah.
fabulous job.
RV Park grand opening?
I move for approval of the warrants as specified.
Second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. These, July. I did not know you could mail in your candidacy. This
As
first
of
week.
this year, apparently you can. And all I know is what I read in the paper.
Has anybody
Oh, that's a heavy one.
filed to run?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, there's quite a line.
I'm going to give this information to you regarding the,
Yeah, you probably drummed them all up too.
I've been having a difficult time.
Beating the bushes to. Tired of that old gal sitting beside you.
I'm going to leave this PILT information with you. I don't know if you'll be able to address it today. Sue's probably more up on it, but since she's gone, they definitely want some feedback to give the DOE. So I will leave that, and
Huh?
maybe you can look it over.
Evidently, who is this Liz?
She's with the group. Frank, help me out there. What is the name of that group?
Is this on the Pilt group you're talking about?
Yeah.
Liz Fortunato?
Yes. She's with the Washington 2 Advocates. Also associated with the Hanford Reach.
Well, I noticed that some of them, the entities wrote about what they were using the PILT funds for, but we just put it in our general
General
fund.
fund, it's in our operation of the county. Yeah. And I would suspect that most of them do it the same way, except they're trying to designate something specific. That's giving a little more weight. I hate to say that, but I think the Schultz funds are kind of like the FFTF.
How come we missed June 14th and 16th?
In minutes,
Huh?
I think they were probably in the box in the room. I'm not sure.
Oh.
Is that, I don't know. If there's not a meeting day, I put them in the box in your room.
Oh.
There's a meeting day, I put
Okay,
them in
that's
the box.
probably why.
Have you got anything more to sign?
No.
I'm running out of ink.
I think I did my job quite well, thank you.
Just about as pitiful as showing it could made that.
Oh, I think I've done that once or twice before.
Boy.
I did want to give this to you for when Rich comes in to see if you have any. I thought they turned out rather nice. And we're going to, the blank spot over here, we're going to be putting the address 2.
Hey, that looks nice.
Must have been standing on the roof up there, huh?
Yeah.
So, I have when the board meeting gets over, I have a list of all the invitees that if you want to go through to make sure that there
Well,
isn't
you know,
somebody that
I
left
don't
off.
know, maybe, do we want to cut it down, possibly? I don't
Well,
know.
even if you send out 50, you're only going to get.
No, but I meant the cost. What's
Oh.
the cost
this?
associated? No,
I don't know.
associated
You're
with
gonna-
the postage. What's a postcard cost?
About 16.
No, I think they're 23.
23
I
cents,
might
I
be
think,
wrong.
yeah.
Maybe 27.
Remember the days of the penny postcard?
Let's see,
You don't remember the days.
23.
Or tax tokens.
Oh, that's less than $20, so I guess it's no big deal. So,
Okay. Go ahead and start putting
Although,
names
although, I'm wondering if, I hate to leave anybody out.
I know. That's why I have a whole list. I added the elected officials.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Are you going to share?
Pardon?
Are you going to share this morning? Share.
Oh, you wanted some coffee?
Didn't your mother teach you to share?
Here, I'll even pour.
Oh my goodness. Now you're going a little too far, but I'll more.
Yeah, you.
Thanks.
There you go.
I just have an awful time with him.
Okay, well, I'll let you look over the names before I start.
Okay. Well, you know the main ones. Patricia.
But the invitation cost, and it won't amount to much.
No.
Really.
I thought I was going to give you the one.
Well, Tom, let's see. Oh, we're a little late on you. Wow.
Oh, that's all right.
You wasted about 7 minutes, Tom.
Right.
Well, it's going to be too hot to get too excited out there today anyway, so.
It's been the low 90s today.
Yeah. Well, they keep changing that.
Upping it.
Yeah, they're talking about 100 maybe. Yes. Bring you up to speed on where we at so far this season.
Okay.
The tree buyback activity there. So far we've managed to get, and this is out of people's backyards, residential trees. 309 of those are gone. And see the different varieties of them. They're mostly apple and cherry, which are kind of what we're after anyway. The other stuff matters. Seems a little slower this year than it has. This June and July have been a little slower than they were in the past.
Now, your ornamental, like the crabapple, or is that a true crabapple?
Well, it's a flowering crabapple, the ornamental that has fruit on it.
Yeah, I know. I
Real-
used to have one.
Yeah, they can definitely be infested with cotton moth.
But they're sure beautiful when they bloom.
Yeah, well, you can use floral on them. Spray them. It doesn't work 100%, but when they're in full bloom and when you follow the instructions on it right and you see the first blossom drop, spray them, you can knock off a large percentage of the fruit, so you still get to see the pretty flowers. We did get lucky on one big section of a former orchard that somebody bought, and they didn't want anything to do with it, and we managed to get them to pull out 720 trees in one clump.
Well, that's quite a bunch.
Yeah, it was all right. We still have a few people left over from last year that haven't followed through, but not near as many. We keep hounding people. 33 of them from last year haven't pulled out stuff. About 100 trees there. And we still have about 104, 118 trees to be removed so far for our last round of our advertising and stuff like that. We're going to try to do something a little different this year. We haven't messed around much in the winter, and so we're going to take a look at like October, November, December, getting out some more information, the flyers we put out in the paper, real obnoxious ones, and see if we can't get people after they're tired of messing up, raking the leaves, picking up all that fruit and stuff. Maybe we can get some people this winter to knock down some trees.
Now, are they just pulling them out, or are they using stump grinders on those?
It depends on, some
Something
people have them
there.
commercially done. Some people cut down their own tree and dig out the stumps. And if they're leaving the stump for any reason at all, we try to get them to paint them with Roundup so that they won't sprout.
Yeah.
Just paint the top of the stump. And we've, personally ourselves, probably cut down about 100 of those 300 trees. Just, when you get into situations, there was one orchard that was a problem. There was no certificates involved there, but they had a couple of rows of mixed pear and cherry and apple and stuff that was causing a problem because it wasn't being sprayed right. It was a cherry orchard that they had that they were spraying perfectly fine because there's their cash crop, But they were leaving all these other ones alone, and we went in and there were about 40 trees there that we went in and took down ourselves. Basically did two orchardists a favor. The other big thing that we're doing is the CLRV program, which is the cherry leaf roll virus. And this is just this year's activity, the CLRV by the numbers one. Last year we got about 1,400 acres surveyed in the first big push on that. We've revisited all those orchards, and took some more samples, and in those revisited orchards, we did find 14 more trees that had the virus. What they did last year is they cut those trees down, they fumigated the stump, and then come back the next year and check for chemigation. And you're almost certain if you get chemigation that the stuff is spread through the roots intermingling. And so those trees come down. I think I've told you about CLRV in the past, but
chemigation spreads it through the roots from tree to tree.
Mm-hmm. Those things will intertwine. You know, when you look at some of these orchards, how they're planted, depending on the spacing on them, and you know that the roots is going to be at least as big as the canopy of the tree.
Oh, yeah.
And they're, those roots will touch each other, and the virus will travel from tree to tree by root to root. And so when we cut the tree down, you don't sit there and wait a week, right, when it's still moist and wet and sap and everything's still moving and growing. You fumigate, you put Roundup and stuff on it right then and there, and it gets absorbed into the tree. And if it touches the roots of another tree,
that'll take care of it.
That next spring, that thing comes and starts leafing out and stuff, and it shows chemical damage. And that means that the virus, because you only take down the positive trees, the stuff that's sent to a lab, and it's only take down the positive trees.
How much Roundup do you put per tree? Is that vary, or is
Well, it's, your normal mix is like a couple ounces a gallon, and you just take and either spray it on or just take a paintbrush and paint it on.
Across the trunk?
Yeah, mostly around that outside of growth ring, the cambium is where you need it the most, but if you just paint the whole thing. And then they've picked up another close to 400 acres this year, and we're getting looks like about 1 for 4 positive on those trees, so they're down, and they'll be fumigated, and we'll just have to go back. We're going to get into a rotation where we go back every 3 years, once we get them all covered.
You're not bothering with orchards, you're bothering with these little...
No, the CLRV program is in the commercial orchard.
It's in the commercial orchard?
Because this is the one thing, you got all sorts of bugs, you got cottonmouth, you got fruit fly, you got all sorts of deals, and there's a lot of viruses that bother cherries.
Oh, yeah.
But they'll knock off 5 or 10% of the production of the tree. The cherry leaf roll virus literally kills the tree, which means 100% production. Mm-hmm. And so if it can spread through an orchard, it can wipe out an orchard. So that's why we're trying to get them out.
But you'd think if they were big commercial orchards,
they'd be doing it.
That the people themselves would be taking care of
One of the
that.
problems that we run into, they're always talking about field men and stuff, and all these things you can go to in the winter that talk about these things and educate you about them. A lot of these guys don't. More and more people, as we go through this, sometimes it's pretty tough to identify, but more and more of them are being aware of it and taking out. A lot of orchardists are on top of it themselves.
That one off Alder Road down there, were you guys involved in that? The old Osmond place? They took a lot of those cherry trees out, I understand.
I can't put a name, location, whereabouts on Alder.
Between Bellevue and...
You have a bunch of trees out front, close to the road?
Yeah, so come on.
Like maybe a dozen trees or something?
No, they got a bunch.
I can't place it, but...
they put in about 400 acres of trees there.
We're not talking about Stamilt's outfit.
That would have been theirs, yeah. No, they bought the Alvin place, I thought. No, Schmel bought the old Osmond place. I think they bought that.
There was a big bunch there right on the corner. That was all walnut, I think. Walnut trees.
On the other side, though, that was Petty. Petty had the walnuts. He took those out. Then right down that road there on Dayton, everything west of that then would have been with Smell.
Yeah, and they're organic, which is makes it interesting for them, too. The thing about CLRV, when you talk about cherry fruit fly and the cotton moth shutting down shipments here a year ago in Formosa, is this thing can be found in the pit of the fruit. And so we're trying to get ahead of that thing if it ever does become an export issue, that you can pretty well certify orchards as being free of this.
Well, that was the whole point,
Right.
Of going at this more aggressively.
Yeah,
Protect,
it is.
protect our export. So
Yeah, if it ever became an issue.
fruit's becoming more and more an important commodity in our county and the state, as a matter of fact, but in our county in particular.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out, but it's mostly Red Delicious and an awful lot of cherry being planted.
Cherries are a good crop. You don't make it every year, but boy, you make it for
When
you.
you do, yeah. What was it, Royal Lands or something? They were getting $65 for a 20-pound box. You know, how you get them in a grocery store for $1.39, I don't know.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Even Bings were like 35 or 32.
I paid $2.39 for what was Royal Lands, I guess.
And they were just in a little thing.
Yeah.
So,
So that's about it. We just keep trying to educate people, trying to get information out. It was on the radio with the Flower Farm and Tom McGale and those guys, and a few things in the paper. And
Yeah,
it's just
I heard
an ongoing education.
well, that's what we need.
Did have fun though, without mentioning any name. I went to one of our local nurseries and walked around where their fruit trees and picked some of the fruit off their trees and took it into the boss's office, and it wasn't there. And I set it down in the office and I wrote his name with some arrows because they were all full of codling moth.
Oh, boy.
Called me back about 2 days, I guess, when he got back. Oh my God, we got behind things, but we're pulling all the fruit. Any questions about anything? We just stumble along.
Well, good. That's interesting. It's an interesting report, Tom.
Yeah. And the budget's okay?
Yeah. One of the things that's happening with us personnel is the guy that works on it strictly on the CLRB is only around for about 4 months. And in any particular pay period, if it's an 80-hour pay period, he may sometimes only put in 48 or 50 hours. So we're okay in that shape. The other gentleman that works with me is a little older, and he has some back problems, and he may not be. We don't know. He's going to have surgery and other stuff. And when he gets to a point where he's not able to do it, he sticks around more like 6 months. And probably getting ourselves down to just 2 people again once we're ahead of this game, because then we only have to go revisit. We have to worry about covering all sorts of ground. You got a lot of orchards out there that are still relatively young, 7, 8 years old, but in 3 years, we're going to want to go see them when they get to be in that 10, 12-year range to see. So we'll be probably within the next year or two be ourselves down to 2, 1.5 people. And I remember last year when we had the budget hearing, there was a little bit of question. I think it might have been Sue, I don't know who, about our carryover, which was around 36. And afterwards, I looked at that, and I'm saying, well, that keeps us on a cash basis.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have to have a little bit of a carryover.
Well, you can. Yeah, you don't have to spend it all. If you got something back, there's going to be something you're going to want to purchase. And,
Well, plus the fact that the taxes don't come in very readily until April. So you've
right.
got,
And when we get going, we have our operating money. So
oh, yeah. You need to have it so you
yeah.
stay flexible.
Okay, well, I guess we gotta keep on track here.
Forgot to do my instructions here. One question. I know I've come in September and stuff with things ready, but is October or what the better time to come in with after we have our meetings and hearings with our budget?
Our auditor will only set up time for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Thanks.
Uh-huh.
See, one thing I was going to mention, our pest control board is going to be in the CS, or not pest control, mosquito. If they're going to be in the CS. Taxes haven't come in, and they're going to need about 30,000 maybe on a loan basis, not in addition to on a loan basis. I said I didn't see any problem with that. They had taken maybe 10 again or something.
Are we gonna lose Rick Dawson?
Well, that's Rick's goal, is to get out. But he hasn't. Gives me every time I see you that we got problems, and I understand we must have them again.
I don't think that's a very nice analogy.
I think we'll just go right to 4. Since this is a personnel issue, we probably should go into executive
I
session.
don't even want to discuss it. I'm not gonna discuss it.
Well,
So we'll just have to wait till Sue comes. I wouldn't reclassify him if he was
Well, let's
on the
do-
moon.
Well, let's discuss it anyhow, so at least I'll know what we're talking about.
Okay. Well, they want to raise him way up.
Okay, let's discuss it and see.
Do we have? Oh, 9:45. Is Tim here yet, you think?
Are you leaving, is Tiffany? Tiffany left?
Oh, she's gone, yeah.
Good morning, Tim.
Hi.
I didn't have much. I didn't bring anything prepared. But no alcohol's an issue at the park.
Pardon me?
So no alcohol's an issue at the park.
My God, we've given so many alcohol permits, Tim. You're coming up more?
Well, and there's some question on whether they're legit or not.
Oh.
We've given them for years.
You mean
now.
for the waterfallies?
Well, now that they're in the city doesn't allow alcohol in the park, period.
No, there's some parts that they do. I think that's what
Well, the
I was
prosecutor was
told.
supposed to talk to you about.
Yeah, I know he did.
And what did he tell you?
He's going to get with the city about,
How we can make this work?
yeah.
But Larry and I were going to come in and talk to you about, we've had problems with the enforcement of, ever since
Well,
they
this
stopped
is not,
taking alcohol down here at Sacagawea. Everybody's migrated.
but what I'm saying, these aren't permitted.
Right, those are unpermitted ones.
Yeah, and we don't permit alcohol unless
But it's in the city limits and enforcement's difficult. I guess
yeah,
is where
and
Larry's
so,
coming from. He's
so they're trying to
find a way to do that.
When are we going to get word back from the prosecutor's office?
He came and talked to you last week.
yeah, on Wednesday, and
I wasn't here.
yeah. And
Maybe
he's-
you need to have him come back and fill the whole board in.
Well, is he due to come in today? Yeah, he is, so we can mention it again. But I doubt that he's done anything
No.
in this length of time. Fred, can you remember what
Steve Lowe said,
regarding
alcohol in the park.
who was going to do the enforcement? Whether it be the city or the county or...
I don't even know.
We've been told by our sheriff it'd be the city.
Oh, out at the park?
Yeah,
It'd be the
Chihuahua.
city. The city would do the.
In the city limits.
Yeah.
And
So
they're
that
not,
lies the problem.
they don't want to cite under our ordinance.
So that's what they're trying to
That's the
do,
issue.
is to get...
There is a state law that they can cite under that you're not supposed to consume in open parks is one of them. We issue these permits that allow that to take place. That's where
That's
the
controlled.
question comes
That's
up,
controlled and...
on whether we can do this.
Oh,
Now that it's in the city limits.
Okay, now we've granted all those this morning and signed them, Tim, and you brought
Well,
them
that's why I said you're bringing it up the wrong time, because I think everybody at Waterfalls is expecting it to take place because it's taken place for years.
Yeah.
And he says, well, we'll just go slowly on this thing. But that's
the
where we're
sheriff,
headed.
the sheriff has signed them,
Yeah.
and so that indicates
We
to
send
me...
copies to the city.
Uh-huh.
The morning of the waterfall,
The water-
maybe you
fall-
can run down and tell them, Tim.
The Waterfally one is a little different because, a little different than anything we do at Chinook Park, because the city is a signature to that contract that
Yeah.
is signed with the Waterfally. So for that one, I think we're okay.
I do too.
The Waterfallies isn't an issue, I don't
But-
believe,
but
because
you
the city
see-
does sign that,
But the
Permit.
sheriff signs them too.
or they sign that agreement with the Waterfallies, and the agreement it says we can do this.
You're saying other times.
When we do this for people out at the park, the groups,
You know, like
Yeah,
groups.
we have 2 of them or 3 of them on there today.
Right. It's what I'm being told by the prosecutor. There's some question on whether we can do that or not, and that's what he's trying to sort out.
Yeah, and he's working with the city's attorney on that too. Because
And then how to enforce those people, because there's a lot of it going on out there that are drinking that don't have those permits.
And that's no good. They shut it off at Sacagawea.
So now it's moved up here.
Yeah, and that's no good. It ruins Sacagawea, I think, for family
Well,
events out there.
and that's kind of what Larry's saying, you know, how far do you want me to go with this? It's happening every weekend. He says it would be easier just to say no alcohol. But that's
Well, can't
more
we
of a
say?
personal belief on his part, I think.
Yes, yeah. I think that's one of the reasons he left his former employment is because of,
But it is. But I'm here to tell you, it is a problem out there
yeah. But
that we're going to have to.
But my point was that it isn't necessarily a problem on permitted.
No, permitted ones because they get a state permit also. You have a responsible party should something happen that is going to be held liable.
Yeah.
If they sell to minor, or they give it to minors, or somebody leaves drunk. There is a responsible party that's, you know, let's say when it's like this, that they're on the hook for it. I'm not saying that the county won't be brought into it because we always saw it.
Yeah.
We may have to come down kind of hard except for one of them.
That's really, you know, the board's decision on whether you want to continue that or not.
We better find, I hate to see it get out there and do like what happened in Sacagawea.
The park is getting used more than it ever has before. We've got, our garbage bill has gone way up. And he says most of it's beer bottles and that sort of thing. So.
They're putting them in the garbage can at least.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
There hasn't been, you know, it hasn't been like any fights or anybody getting out of line or anything. It's just,
That's what ruins it though, you know.
We've had problems with people taking shelters that they didn't have reserved. And there were some conflicts that way. But we've dealt with that pretty good.
What do they do in those situations?
Our park caretaker goes over and
Straighten it out.
yeah, since they have reserved, you're going to have to move that into the park. And if you're a large group, then you really, if you want to be there, you need to get a permit. That was the other thing we were coming in to talk to you about. Is possibly, if there's room, actually them running permits out there for larger groups. Question is, the way that ordinance is, if you have more than 25 people in your group, you're supposed to have a permit and pay the fee. Well, we get people out there that just show up that have groups larger than that. And
Yeah, seeing they probably are ignorant to the fact that it has to
or
be.
they're just saying, hey, I tax bear, I don't need to do that.
That's true.
Because that's what we hear most of the time.
Well,
Well, we'll get Elizabeth's opinion on it. You go from there, I guess.
okay, now what do you
The
know?
cap funding?
Yeah, what do you know about the cap funding?
Well, at our public hearing for the 6-year tip, one of the things that was loud and clear, and I've known this for a long time, is we haven't been spending any construction funding in the last several years on local access roads. And with the budget coming up, I put that on there to kind of get a feel for potential. If local roads are a priority, what we've been doing with our cap funding is we've been overlaying arterial roads for the all-weather thing. That money can be used to do anything on arterial surfaces, whether it's chip seal or whatever. We've been using our maintenance money to do chip seal, but we could use this to do chip seal, and the money we would have spent on maintenance we can put into a program to start paving some roads if you want to go that way.
Well, that might be a good idea.
I would
For
like
a
to see
while.
some roads paved out there. Yeah.
Start doing 1 or 2 miles a year
Yeah.
and start
Whatever
getting
we-
back doing
Whatever
we
we
can
can
do.
afford to do,
We've
yeah.
got some of this stuff, I'm not kidding you, with iron from my gravel on it, that is not going to cure. And it's going to take us a long time to get there.
You're going to have dust, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Iner Fremont would disagree with you.
We do need the fines to keep it together, but it also creates dust every time we blend it.
Those are some of the smoothest roads we got, but they are the dustiest.
Oh.
They are smooth. but
They're
they are dusty.
trade-offs,
Yeah.
So, I think you got 2 of us to agree that maybe that might be a good program.
And then an update on East Foster Wells. Mr. Gray with the Bureau Reclamation did call JUV back. They're trying to set up a meeting this week or next week to go over where they're coming from and figuring out what the issues are and whether they're
I think
possible or not.
I think it boils down to Tim on that, whether they're going to do it or whether or not. Because I don't think that alternate route down there is going
Well,
to satisfy anybody.
once we get something from them, then it's time to sit down with the state and the Fed guy, because we just spent a bunch of money on a mile that if it doesn't connect, it doesn't function as an arterial road, we may have to pay it back.
Yeah, that one that cuts down like that.
Well, we did that first mile up there.
Yeah.
And we need to find out what all the ramifications are of it. I don't think there's a very good argument for saying we can't get through there. So there are, depending on what we hear, there's ways to go above them through your congressman, or if you want to go that route.
I don't think Skibbit is going to get in their way on that.
No, Skibbit, they just rubber stamped what
They're
the
just
Bureau
going to rubber
said.
stamp on it. And I don't think it really makes you, after Shannon came in there's no
No,
problem.
he didn't know much about it, and he says, hey, it was kind of a political thing.
I
That's
don't
what-
think the federal state ground there.
I think,
can't see any reason.
I think that when it's all
Well,
said
then
and done,
they've
we'll be able
already
to get
signed
through it.
off on the environmental study.
They're so environmental, there shouldn't be any issues that keep us from going through.
Yeah, after they've signed off on that sometime.
There may be some mitigation we need to give them. Maybe we put a bridge in there instead of a culvert.
Yeah.
So
But anything like that, but I just think that's,
No, I think the only issue, we can get through that is whether we do it or not.
Right.
Because I think that's the only route that really makes sense.
And then, I don't know if you last week, guys said you made a decision to go ahead and order
we
directives
wanted
for
to at
four-way
least,
stop.
because Sue's been talked to Kevin Carley, and he just said that they weren't going to patrol it as often as maybe it needed to be. The way I'm paraphrasing now, but if they would have somebody out there during the peak hours, start of school and end of school and stuff. But even though the criteria doesn't meet the four-way stop, we wanted to try it for a month or so and see if that helped.
And we will do that. And our assignment's been following our striper around, so he has not to happen.
And then another thing.
The blacktop, that road out there, in addition, we have two issues there on the same road, isn't it?
We have that piece that we have to do.
Where the
Yeah.
blacktop at?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
agree.
this is down at 44.
Okay, further down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where the traffic is.
Yeah, no, I know what we're speaking of,
But anyway, it doesn't sound like the sheriff is going to do any more than what they're doing right now. Is that your opinion?
The sheriff isn't doing anything.
Oh, they're not even.
I live right there, and they haven't been. Last time I talked to
Kevin?
told me, like, well, you guys haven't been out here a month and a half, which was true. And then he sent an officer out, sent out there for 5 minutes and left.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem. I guess I don't have a problem with that. I mean, there's other issues probably that they have, but I believe that first of all, like I was telling Tim earlier, out in the waiting room out there, I've been in contact with Riverview Baptist Church.
Oh,
I talked to them 2 months ago, and Dr. Griffin, he's all for making that. I told him, I go, listen, I go, you haven't got any school zone signs. I go, there's only one sign, and it's on your property, actually. And I go, if you go up to Mark Twain, and I've measured it off, it's 1 1/2 of a mile. That's where the first stop, that's where the first school zone sign is, warning people, hey, this is a school zone. And before you get to the actual intersection to turn to Mark Twain. Theirs is on their own property. So it doesn't really make any sense to have it on your own property, especially when the kids are coming from the east, heading west to the school, and vice versa as they're coming out. Now, when you, and it's on paper, and it's on record, that the speeds that these guys are coming through.
Yes, yes.
And two cars, if you go out there, two cars heading one east and heading one west, they meet at the same time. One of them has to pull off that thing to get, there's two cars will not fit on that road. So where's the kids gonna walk?
Yeah.
That's my concern, and he is all in favor of doing something, helping out the school zone, that thing, and I guarantee you one thing, you want revenue, there's revenue for Franklin County. And I mean, you get caught doing 55 or 60 miles an hour in the school zone, that's a pretty hefty ticket. And I guarantee you that not too many people are gonna do that twice.
No, it's not. You advertise that they've gotten them there is the best thing that can happen.
Yeah, that is correct, absolutely. And people will know, I mean, hey, I'm not no saint. I've got speeding tickets, but I get speeding tickets out of the freeway. You know, I don't get them here in town. But the simple fact is this right here: when any one of us in this room approaches a school sign, a school zone, boy, we put her down. We shut her down real quick. That's automatic because we instantly think, I don't want to hit a kid. I do not want to hit a child because that's going to stay with me for the rest of my life. But and I've got families that are out there that are just in total. They're just up in arms about the children, the speeders, and even though they don't, a lot of those children don't attend that school. If you was to come out there around 8 or 8:30 now that the evenings are real nice and the families can get together and bike ride maybe down the street, I tell you what, you can't do it. There's just no way because of those guys that are coming down there so fast. And the school zone sign, I think it'd be, like I was telling Tim, I just got a feeling that's just one part of that area that needs that school zone because there is a school there. There is a school there. Let's not forget that. And let's not forget that the children are walking there every day to school and little kids.
Well, anyway, we thought we'd try this to see.
Immediately.
Maybe it'll be an immediate deterrent, and maybe it won't. I mean, maybe.
What we will do is we'll go ahead and put them up
Could we
for a
put
while,
some
and then we're going to do
traffic-
some more speed studies.
Yeah, okay.
What we need to do is have someone watch that four-way.
Make sure they're stopping.
Well, yeah, you hope you catch one or two there and the word will spread.
Then Guy is going to get with the school
Yes.
and find out where the kids are coming from, and then we'll sign it for you.
So we need to get
But,
some
you know,
tickets.
and we can do all we can do with
No,
the
absolutely.
sheriff's department.
Absolutely.
But by golly, we're not their boss.
No,
you are their boss.
No,
you know?
well, I can only say so much, but I got a feeling that they get tired of hearing from me, and they say, well, that guy down there, that guy, and this and that. But all I'm trying to do is trying to make it a safer community,
Right.
safer place for the kids.
Well,
Yes.
my whole point is that people think that the the commissioners are ahead of all of these offices, and we're not. I mean,
You
he's
have
a
to tie. You can only do so much.
Yeah.
Tim can only do so much, and we can all do so much. But yeah, the thing is that I just think that thing ought to be looked at. I mean, because originally that stop sign, I'll take one more minute of your time.
That's okay.
Like I told Tim, that stop sign that on Road 44 that's heading north and south was moved because of the traffic congestion that was heading up to Desert Plateau. That has all changed because of the freeway. The traffic there is not a lot of traffic going north and south.
Yeah.
If they're coming up, if they're coming north, coming up Road 44, they're taking a left on Wernette to go out to the hundreds. So if you really think about it, they changed it for one reason, because of the traffic.
Right.
Now that the freeway's in, it should be turned back around. But that's my own opinion. So,
Well, you're going to have four-way stop, so.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to try the four-way, and
I'll be more than glad to watch it. I mean, hey, listen, I've got time, and then I think it's important for me to help as much as I can. Not to be sitting there and saying, hey, well, you know what, these guys are
Well, we're looking.
speeding, but no.
We're looking to you to tell us how it's working for you. If it works
Absolutely.
at all.
I will. Absolutely. I'll sit there for a couple hours. I don't mind that. Sitting there for a couple hours and watch some of these guys come, if they go through there or
You
not.
think that makes a difference?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll see real quick.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We should get a feel for.
Absolutely.
And then they're going to do some more speed studies and.
We're going to let it be in there for a month or so, and then we'll do studies again. But once people get used to it.
Because school's going to be starting here pretty soon.
Absolutely, next one.
And that's why I was on it. That's why I've been on it, because I know that once it starts, it's hard
It's
to
too
get
late.
to the middle.
That's
Because,
right.
You know, but that's all. That's all I have to say. And I thank you very much for your time this morning.
Mhm. You're welcome. Thanks for coming in.
And I don't have anything else
Okay.
that I need to bring. Hey, you know, meeting
Well,
Wednesday?
Sue was kind of passionate about the situation because I think this gentleman's been calling her, and she talked to Kevin about it. And
The guy's got a concern.
Well, Kevin asked about it and said, hey, you got that up yet? I said, well, if you go by our Bible, which we go by, I can't do it. I shouldn't be doing it. But if I'm told to, they said, well, I'll go talk to him. So,
yeah.
Well, let's put it out and see what happens. But you know, just 2 or 3 guys can cause so much of the problem, speeding through there.
and that's what you got, I think.
But you know,
Probably, yeah.
I think at least I haven't heard any complaints about our Basin City. That's kind of been resolved.
They,
What happened? They gave some tips.
they put the people that were causing the problem in
There were
jail.
just 2 or 3 guys causing the problem.
They nabbed them for something. I don't remember what it was.
The one family that
Yeah.
were really, really problem.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, I think the goodwill that we did by going up there and listening to them and
And these things you have to do, and this situation here needs to be resolved. You know, this guy is kind of after it, but nevertheless, he's got a concern.
He's passionate, let's put it that way.
he is passionate. So, okay, thanks, Tim.
And I'll make sure, Guy,
Is there,
this was going
if
before.
there's something that you know, that comes up that you have to have a signature, why?
We just need a copy of the minutes where you directed us to put them on.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right, and
once you
then,
have them.
because I'll be around.
So, and then we'll find out where the kids are coming from, and based upon that, because that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to get lists and say, okay, this year our kids are coming from this area. They're going to be. We want them to walk up this way. You pick the safest route. We want them to walk up this way, and then you sign it up for them.
The school needs to be just a little.
But they haven't been
more
doing that. The school
Yeah.
hasn't been doing
Yeah,
that.
they need to be more involved in this. They should be in here with this guy.
But my understanding is a lot of them drive in, so there isn't that many walkers. But we'll find out. Later.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, bye-bye, Tim. 10:15 is supposed to be a break, but can we discuss Rosie, Dan Holtgren, not Dan, Brian Holtgren's letter about Rosie?
I'll tell you what I did with that. Basically, I went back to the contracts this morning because Anna Romeo had asked the same thing. We
Yeah, but
asked
she
that-
wanted more money than this.
Right, but I guess maybe I shouldn't have done it, but I asked her to submit, according to the contracts, they're supposed to be submitting a monthly report to us that basically shows the amount of work that's being brought in. And the reason I asked that same letter go out to her is to show that we're being fair with both interpreters, and we're requesting the same thing. So I asked that to be pulled off my agenda and have that letter sent out to her and provide us the same information.
Okay, well, that's good, Fred. I'm just reading it in the mail here.
Yeah,
And,
I have the same thing that I brought.
And I just wanted to know.
Excuse me, really, my mind is wandering here. How do you suggest we resolve this?
Well, Anna Hermio had made a similar request regarding,
Yeah, I think so, because I want to make,
And this is,
well,
Oh, I
Pat-
like that one too.
and then she
but
put,
Pat didn't like the garbage can,
Right.
and then she thought this looked just like a barn, so. She put it down. Pat, Patricia.
Oh, I like that, because it shows how they can go in and out and circle in where the place of business is. Yeah.
But anyway.
This is a little easier to get on a card than that was.
Yeah. When you
You
shrunk
stuck
this
it
down,
down.
it didn't show very good. So,
Well, I like the circular.
yeah, I like that too, but to get it on a card, okay.
Okay. Giving you the 10, the first thing I've got is a financial review that Becky put together through the end of May. She hasn't been able to get June's yet.
Now, that's in here, Rich.
Now that's in the little yellow. Through May of 04, we're $4,600 ahead on our $4,600 on our revenue. And May
Run back here. Park income, 47.
46. We have total expenses of $2,700 in May. Year to date is $54.80, and then the net income, when you take the income from above, the 10 and the 47, that's the profit in May, and also the profit to year of 46.64.
But it doesn't show our expense to track.
No, we don't have that included in there yet.
Well, that's going to eat up the profit. Huh?
No, we haven't put it in there at this point.
Oh,
Just the direct things applicable strictly to the RV. It'd be interesting to see, though, when we run the salaries in there.
Well, actually, track gives us, right now it's a fixed fee of $36,000. We're not running salaries through this budget because their management fee is $36,000.
okay. But it doesn't
But
show
it
management.
doesn't show that.
No,
No,
it doesn't.
Now, I see up here, taxes collected for the state, 903.20, but I don't see where you paid that to the state.
I think that's on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
And we started in April, so they would probably.
So is that
June.
903.20 in your overall profit figure?
Yes.
It must be.
We'll have to back that out again when Becky pays the quarterlies.
Yeah.
And then, just for information, on income to date, we got another 7175. That's not listed. That's just, I went through the June and July revenue so far that Becky's given me, and we're at 7175 on income.
In addition to that 10.
Right.
So, Rich, what's your monthly expenses?
Okay, monthly expenses, we're looking at approximately $1,127 for sewer, $300 for garbage, about $250 to $300 on electricity.
Where are you on that, Rich?
Let me go-
No, this is just, I don't have that, that's just my notes that we're looking at.
Okay. But your electricity now,
That's based on usage mostly, because if the park isn't being used, there's no electricity being used. The one fee that,
But aren't we charged anyway?
not on electricity.
not on electricity, where you are charged on is the cable and
That's a fixed
the
cost.
garbage. Yeah.
But I don't see that in here.
That didn't come in and start until June on the expenses.
You want to give me those monthlies again?
Okay, sewer approximately 1125.
That's whether they use it or not.
Correct. We're at garbage at 300. Electricity, Becky estimated about 250. And the cable 460.
So that's $21.35 a month. That's you. $21.35 a month.
Now,
Now,
we got sewer, garbage,
electricity and cable,
electricity's what,
about 250.
and cable. Was,
$460.
I don't know where my mind was when you were reading those off.
But electricity, that's just depends, whatever
Yeah.
you use is whatever there, so that's,
You're right. That's a variable.
yeah.
It's been averaging about $250 a month.
But the others are fixed costs, no matter what you use, that's
Right.
what the,
And the one that is not in there, and Becky didn't have any information on, was the telephones, as far as what we're going to be charged through the county for the phone service. Because that varies again depending on number of lines. And,
I'll be surprised if that's used very much. It'll be interesting to see, you know.
well, it goes back, right now, there's very limited use of phones by the transient folks that are coming through as far as requests. I've had one request for phones. However, if we're, and the recommendation is, you know, on the monthly rate, those folks are going to want telephones. And
Yeah.
and if that's the case, then we're going to have to look at maybe changing the phone service out at track to be able to handle, say, 20. If you got 20 full times in there, we don't have the lines for 20 outlets. We have them, but then that would tie up the county's lines then, because it's going to the.
Yeah, but we're not going to have that many full-time, are we? I
Well,
thought
but-
we were going to, I
Yeah,
thought
we
we
were
were going to
looking
start
at-
at
We're looking
10.
at, looking at 10.
Now, I see where $920 was spent on RV park cable for the month of May.
That was 2 months. They didn't bill us for the first month, and you came advance.
Okay. All right.
So if we were throwing the management fee at $3,000 a month, your monthly expense was $51.35. And
That'll figure out 51.35 average on a credit.
right.
Well, no, but you've got supplies and custodial supplies and fuel, and you got other things in here.
A lot of those are startup costs on those dollars.
And is that $200 RV park dues annual?
Yeah, that's an annual. And we will have, if you want to get in all the magazines and the advertising out, you can probably have about $4,000 to $5,000 in dues on an annual basis to be in all the major publications as far as listing of the RV park.
But our revenue to date in the RV park is about $17,000.
Correct.
And how long have we been open out there now?
Since, the first event was this first weekend in April,
April, May, and June, and half
of July.
so 3.5 months.
I don't have in last weekend's revenues, and we'll have another quarter horse show here at the end of the month. The last one was $5,100. I expect that one to be about $4,000. This is going to be a little smaller show than the last.
Now, you were had about, what, 20 rentals this week out there on the main RV park, plus all the electricity in those other spots.
20, 25.
Well, I went by and noticed that everybody, when they pull in, are they taking up spots down there when they back into that electricity and water? Everybody that backs into electricity and water should be paying something
Right.
there. And they are?
Yes.
Because it looked like some of them weren't hooked up, but that wasn't the case. They just hadn't hooked up.
Right.
But when they backed in there, they are getting that. Because it looked like we had about 11 of those 13 taken care of.
Yeah.
And how many can get just electricity up there? How many?
13.
13 get just electricity? And
13 can get electricity and power.
Yeah.
I mean, water.
yes, but how many can get just electricity?
If we go on the building, we can get another 12 there.
Because I know we had some of those just got electricity.
Some of them don't have didn't want to hook up to the water on those, that are out along the 47 to 59.
That's great. We have the option for them to do that.
It's just, that is an option. And
You bet.
And if there's overflow needs, which there usually is for most of the horse events, for power and water or power, then we put them on the building, on the pavilion, and we get 12 there that we can work with.
Because power will suffice for many real well.
And taking a look at follow up on the discussion we had at the last board meeting, if there's no other questions on the financials, is the discussion was to take a look at a weekly rate and monthly rate. And what I've been quoting so far is 185 and 375 as far as monthly. At 375, 185 on a weekly rate.
Now, does that make us in line with what the others are charging a month?
It does. But we'll go on down the road. We're pretty much in line with what Sandy's does as far as cost.
I didn't realize the majority of their spaces were long-term.
Down Sandy's, they are. That's guaranteed income, and they really cater that with their store, the swimming pool, the amenities that they've got at the park.
Down where now?
Down Sandy's. Down there on the freeway.
More permanent.
They've got a store in there?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that.
They got a store, a pool, rec area.
What kind of a store?
It's got small, like a little convenience store.
Oh, we got
Groceries?
Small items.
Well, that is good, then.
Necessary type items.
Yeah, because that would cater to people in and out.
Kind of like the hotels have,
Right.
gift shop type thing.
So I just want to get a board approval on those rates or a consensus on it, if that's okay.
I move for approval of the rates as recommended.
I'll second. For discussion, is that pretty much what we based our budget on, or did we?
We did not put anything in the budget as far as too
As
many.
permanent rates, no.
We had several options we looked at, and that some of it did incorporate a monthly rate.
We wanted to get about 10 in there to kind of lock in some of our expenses.
Okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, advertising. This is, Rich and I talked about this a little bit, and
I've got an ad that's starting this week.
Steve Lowe's on the phone apologizes for being late, but he has nothing to meet with the board about unless the board has something for him.
well, just tell him that we were wondering about the park situation,
Okay.
And he'll know.
I've got a follow-up on that $1,200 cost that we talked about at the last board meeting. Starting this week, we'll have 2 ads in the paper, one on Wednesday and one on Sunday, advertising the park with daily.
Explain to Frank why that if you have 2 ads
Yeah,
in a week, the second
one
one
is 30% off, so instead of starting Sunday, I went to the Wednesday ad, and then I get 30% off on the Sunday ad. And they'll run every other week for 12 weeks.
It's something, we have to put it out so people know
Now-
what it is.
Now that with approval, the weekly.
Now, is this the ad?
This is it. Oh, this is my ad that I sent over to the Tri-City Herald. They haven't sent me back their copy yet for approval.
They don't adjust our ad, do they?
Pardon?
I said, they don't change our ad, surely.
Well, sometimes they do. They change it around to meet their format as far as the
But
2x3
just
ad.
as far as size.
Right.
Yeah.
But as far as information in it, no. And then the ads are being run in the Family Motor Coach Association. That's a major association. They just had a rally down in Redmond. I've contacted the folks that are ahead of that rally, and their first trip through the Tri-Cities, they're going to be stopping by and taking a look at track and our facility as far as holding a rally, and you're probably looking at 2007, 2008 for that. That's the same association that was back in here about 1998. The Trailer Life Directory, it's cost $1,450 to run an advertisement, 1/6 page in there. The RVIC, with the membership in RVIC, you get the advertising in their Go Camping Directory, and their dues are being paid. Woodall's, Wheelers, or other sites that, and books that we'll be advertising in. And I've got just a sample of the websites that I've contacted to get information on the RV park, the campground info, camping source. Those are the ones that I've contacted and requested a linkage with our site.
Now that $1,450 amount, is that just for the Family Motor Coach Association?
That's for the Trailer Life Directory.
Oh. So,
There's about $1,200, I believe, for the Family Motor Coach. That's already been paid.
But that's a yearly cost.
That's a yearly cost, right? Yeah.
No one
And
time.
the Trailer Life Directory is also the Good Sam's Directory.
Okay.
Next item is the ribbon cutting, the 22nd, and I know Dave and I have talked a little bit about this. Talked to Fred the other day. He agreed to MC it. We're looking at a brief ceremony there. Remarks by...
Don't you think, though, that the master ceremony should make quite a little talk on doing this thing?
Well, that's a board direction.
Well, I think that would be certainly appropriate.
I'm surprised he even agreed to it.
I caught him at a weak moment, I think.
No, I got poor evaluations for not doing that, so I decided to time I step up.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right.
Poor evaluation.
Just some brief remarks by, I guess it's going to be Frank, and then some of myself as chamber president. Ribbon cutting, and the chamber will assist in that. And then a tour of the park, and we'll have refreshments in the lobby area track in the pavilion.
Oh, I thought
In the
pavilion,
pavilion,
yeah.
yeah.
And we talked about refreshments, and I said that I thought it needed to come to the full board, you know. It's
Yeah, I have it on my agenda, but since you're here, we might as well go ahead and talk about it. Is the board interested in providing a punch and cake or finger foods or anything like that? And if that's the case, could we purchase it through track?
I think cake and punch would be fine from my standpoint. I think it would be kind of appropriate during
I just thought maybe we should have a little bit more, but that's fine. I'm not going to, I won't be here, so. But, are we going to would we do a cake through,
I was just going to get one through Costco.
yeah,
They'll make them up.
I think that's,
A Costco cake and some punch and then some coffee.
okay, let's do it that way.
And just have it out in the lobby area there at the pavilion. And the last item was still working on the website. I've got a photo that I got off the website for the antenna that's coming in, and I'm going to be clipping this out, doing some work with that, and see if I can incorporate that into a logo. That's the antenna type
When's that gonna-
antenna for the cell tower that's going out
when's
there.
that going to happen, Fred?
I met with Eric last week. He was supposed to have a contract.
Oh,
through
this
the day.
isn't ours.
No,
This
that-
is another one.
No, that,
Okay.
I just want to pull, I'm asking our web person to pull that out and just take that, and then we'll incorporate that in part as the logo on the website. We are on the track website right now with the reservation through TuneA to call in. We have the digital res software in place, learning how to run that and get long-term reservations and all the data input in that.
I think we're getting people to make reservations when we have an event there, but we need to be able to pick up some of that weekday traffic
Yeah.
that we're missing on. And this is what we need to get out to.
And
Well, maybe
But,
with the ribbon cutting and, well, I don't know, that's not gonna
But we need to
catch
get,
the people going down the highway.
but we need to get the media there so that the people in the
I,
area.
and there's one lady with KNDU TV that has been fairly interested because her parents are now putting an RV park in, I think it's Arizona. And I've been in contact with her, so I know that KNDU will be out there for that.
Good, good.
Let's see, and follow up on that as far as getting the word out. One of the roadblocks I've run into is getting freeway signs. And I've had resistance from Ed Berry out of Yakima, and I've requested.
Now,
Ed Berry's the DOT person that supervises and authorizes freeway signage. And I can't get him to return calls. He's in very seldom. So I went to the DOT website and got a request to get the signage application format so I can send that in.
And, what it might be, if the guy in Yakima is the one that makes the decision, if you're right at his office door when he opens in the morning, it might help.
And I might be.
That might be a personal contact with him because they'll dodge you.
Well, I wonder, what about the guy that,
Don Whitehouse.
yeah, Don, if we can work through Don.
That might be a possibility too. Don Whitehouse is over this region.
Mm-hmm.
And he might light some fire under him.
Yeah. But the thing of it is, I think maybe personal contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see if I got that. I should be getting that form this week and get that filled out and sent in, then do a follow-up. Exactly, hand it right to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's all I've got.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Richard.
Thank you. And I guess you
Yeah,
did
this
your
is
list
kind of the tentative list
of invitees.
of the invitees.
It's all the elected officials anywhere around the globe. That's plus city managers and that thing. I haven't looked it over for city managers, but I assume they're on that.
Right, they are.
All right.
I'm guessing.
Okay, start off as we usually do, talking about the events that tracked the previous weekend.
Ooh, I'm getting a mess here. Where's my oh, here it is.
We've got Russ Dean loading out today. They had about 1,500 people go through on their sale.
How did they do?
They said they were good on Friday and Saturday, but yesterday really dropped off. That's what I saw. I wasn't in. I was in Friday night and then again on Sunday morning. And
You couldn't have gotten more activity around one spot out there on Saturday, I want to tell you.
it was an incredible weekend.
Yeah.
As far as space utilization and,
Oh.
you don't have big numbers. You're under 2,000 on each one of them, but
That furniture sale, I tell you, I've never seen so much junk. Not furniture. The furniture was fine, but I mean just all the cardboard and everything they brought it in. My God.
just the stuff.
Yeah.
Well, a lot
Did
of
they
that
have a
furniture
good
too.
sale?
They're continuing. It goes until Tuesday.
Oh,
So
Well, they'll be there tonight during this circus.
we'll be there, but what we're doing is we're routing people through the doors right into the arena and then the restroom.
from the outside.
Right, and then, well, they'll go into the atrium through those doors right into the arena.
Oh.
And then the restroom access will be on the back side.
On the backside is.
And so will the circus concessions and that sort of thing.
I got 2 grandsons. I'm taking to the circus. And that's,
Watch your pocketbook.
Yeah,
It is a circus.
Because the circus isn't bad. It's the food and because I
Yeah,
took
no.
a little
the ancillary
Elephant
is.
ride and
Yeah, they'll do it all up.
and I'll tell you to buy Cokes and popcorn. I mean that's
Yeah, so that's part of the rental is that they buy those. I mean, if they can't get their concessions in an operation like this, they don't.
They
come.
can't do it.
So we charge them the rent, and then they staff it and do everything else.
How did we
themselves.
do on the barrel horse racing with the RV park? Did they utilize the RV park?
About half of it.
They were half. I think I counted 20 spots around there.
Yeah.
I was checking out. I drove around there Saturday.
Well, the circus people were instructed 3 different times by our staff through their office to park in the RV park when they got here. They got here in the middle of the night, and when I drove in this morning, guess where they were at? Right back where they always are, right immediately behind the arena. And we have informed them that they will be paying RV park rates to park back there. They can move, but they're not, just because they came in the middle of the night doesn't mean they don't pay those rates.
They ought to be tickled to death to get back and hooked on.
Well, you would think so, but
Yeah.
I know personally, I heard the conversations with staff telling the Gaddy Circus offices that they need to park back in the RV park when they show up, and then we'll take care of it all later.
They did.
The guy shows up this morning and said, well, nobody told us anything, so. Anyway, that's when if you go out there today, you'll see the circus people parked up right back behind the pavilion. And we had to make that conversion from the dirt for the horse event as opposed for the circus. So Helen was in last night making that conversion, packing that down.
Was it barrel race people were happy with
I
their?
think things went pretty well. We had one injury that I'm aware of. One horse did fall. It was on the 10th.
Oh,
Saturday.
that's going to
That's
happen.
going to happen.
That's gonna happen.
There was an injury on that, but
There was an injury?
there was an injury on that.
No. You can't.
That's part of the activity. It's like
What-
playing football. I mean, somebody in the game gets hurt most every game.
Well, the way they cut those barrels, and the horses are just flat on their side, and they come around, and occasionally one goes down.
One will do. And then, this is the first one that I remember in the 7 years here. So I think we've had a pretty darn good record, and finally one did happen.
Yeah, that's.
So I just got the report. I didn't look into it much other than the fact that I saw that it happened.
What about that furniture? Were they happy?
The furniture sale, I think everything is fine there. We've been on them to move their stuff away from other people. They had originally put their junk in the way of Russ Dean's access from outside into the atrium, into the expo hall. And from that standpoint, we've been at. Today we told them we got to move it from the arena side over to what was a Russ Dean. So we're constantly asking them to adapt their setup to what our needs are, our other clients. So they've indicated that if they are successful, that they plan on being back 3 or 4 times a year. And
Well, I hope they're
at
happy.
$3,000 each, that's a nice little bit of revenue. That,
They set up in the atrium.
and again, we're looking at over $3,000 for the weekend. So
Yeah, that's all right.
coming to Tuesday. Okay.
Between the group, you know what our revenue was for the weekend?
Between all of them, all resting, the 10,000?
It's 12.
It's 11,000 roughly for Russ Dean, 2,600 for the barrel race, and 3,000 for the atrium. So
Then we had the RV park,
Yeah,
which is
RV park.
separate.
Right. yeah,
But that's all girls, is that right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
We had a couple people on all the time, cleaning and going around and doing just cleaning up. And
Your sweeper was working out there, I see, which was needed.
that's why we have it out there. We got to
Yeah,
try to keep it. as
but he
clean
was
as we
running it
possibly
when
can.
I was there.
Yeah. They were cleaning restrooms when I was in there. We got one thing we do need to work on, and I did talk to Helen about it yesterday, was the grass. We got to just keep that thing as wet as we possibly can, especially going into the grand opening. We're getting patches in there. We got to do better than that, what we've been able to do. Okay, the rest of the week we talked about the circus, and then continuing the furniture sale through Tuesday. The advisory board meeting is on Tuesday also. Takaha is having a meeting on Wednesday. And this weekend coming up, we've got 3 weddings, 2 in the AmeriSuites, one on Friday night, one on Saturday, with exactly the same setup, so it's just a matter of cleaning, and one in the expo hall.
Is BJ happy with the patronage he's been getting at the hotel?
He has been full on the weekends, and he's done well on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He's been very pleased. Sunday night he drops off Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday. So you're
I think
missing the
that's-
business travel on that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
which I look at more as AmeriSuites is not well known in this area, so the business people aren't going to be thinking in terms of AmeriSuites. They'll be looking at other flags, and most of them have already been established into it. So it's going to take a
It'll
little
take a
time
while
for
to
him
pick
to
that
do that.
business up. We get a good restaurant out there, that'll help bring them in, though.
As far as what we're doing out there, this is the time of the year we're down. I mean, we're not running a lot of high-profile events. Your car sale, your furniture sale aren't going to book a lot of rooms. And I know that the Barrel Horse people were in there, but I don't know how many they were. And there was a big softball tournament, so he was, like I said, he was full. Speaking of softball, that was very successful for us. He took in $2,500 in sales over the weekend.
That's good.
So that was really good. Anyway, then the events to the rest of
The Hispanic
month.
dance on the 17th.
There's also on the 17th, right? I didn't mention that. There is a dance on the 17th.
So we got something in the
In the
hotel
expo?
and the expo, and then where is the Hispanic
the
dance?
arena. In the arena.
It's a new promoter on that.
It is a new promoter, as we discussed last week.
Yeah.
This one we haven't worked with.
Okay.
The bands are supposedly so-so. The one is supposedly pretty good, so
Think it'll draw them in.
we'll see what happens.
What about before we get away from these, the Bronze Classic Horse Show? What's that?
It's Quarter Horse Show.
Be the Quarter Horse Show coming in.
And it's going to fill us up, isn't it? Pretty much. I mean, that'll be good. The stalls.
Fills us up pretty good as far as use of the stalls. The weekend. I have 5 reservations this morning for the RV park.
That Butch and his group, Butch will be into that.
Well, it's Quarter Horse, but it's not Butch's group. It's the secretary that does all the shows. It's her show. It's a show that comes from Moses Lake to here.
Okay.
Next thing on the agenda is the May financial report. Becky, you want to go through that?
Okay. Events for May. The largest one there was the Pasco Soldier Band Festival. That was actually a new event that they did at the same time as that Battelle Laser Conference.
But now that doesn't bring in revenue, does it?
No, not a lot. They just rent the
It's just
space and that's it. Yeah. So total of 16 events for May with 12,000 in attendance. If you look on the next page, comparing it to the previous month, we had 17 events last year in May with 41,000 in attendance. And the reason why that's so different is because the Health and Safety Expo last year was in May, whereas this year it was in April.
Yeah, I see the 45,000 in April
Yeah.
as opposed to the 21,000 in April last year.
Yeah. So we'll change the months. Those months. The profit and loss for May, 88,000 in revenues and 121 in expenses. So that shows a loss of 33,000 with 15,000 in receivables. That would take it to a loss of 18,000. Compared to last year, May of a profit of 31,000 with 65 in receivables.
One of the items, too, on the revenue side especially, is the dance on the 28th, I think it was.
Yeah.
There was $30,000 of revenue in that event that did not get deposited until June.
So it'll come out in June.
So that revenue is going to show up in June.
That'll balance.
So there's another $30,000 in revenue.
That'll almost balance out that negative.
Right.
Okay. The next page is year-to-date. With so far this year, we have collected $619,000 in revenues and $676,000 in expenses, for a loss of $57,000 with $30,000 in receivables. Then compared to last year, a profit of $7,900.
Well, and if you add the receivables,
Yeah, if you add the receivables from last year back in, that would
Be
be
about
about
78.
$78,000.
now why the big difference between the 2 years? Because
In receivables or just total?
No, total,
Total is-
because it looks like we have a 78,000 profit, and yet this year we're going to be down 47,000.
Actually,
mean, that's
it's
a
about
big swing.
$100,000 swing.
Huh?
Quite a bit.
About $100,000 swing, because if you add back the receivables of the $30,000, you're $26,000 in the hole
And last year we were 78 positive. So.
to the positive.
Mm-hmm.
So
What-
that's about $100,000 swing in a year.
What's the cause of the swing?
What's the cause of the swing? If you look on let's look on this revenue side. We brought in more money than we did last year. With that said, we budgeted new positions and the change of positions as far as the expense goes, and that direct supervision issue, is where we're having to bring in people to supervise the Coyote Ridge crew.
Now, where is that item? Where is that item?
What
Yeah.
page?
Huh?
Under administration, under the very first expense line,
What's the number?
that's 10.00 administration.
Okay.
That's 159 compared to 121 last year. That includes Mel's salary. Last year we had a lower for the first part of the year, food and beverage manager, and we also have a new marketing director as part of that. Then the one right underneath that, the 10.801 part-time facility, that is where you're going to see the direct supervision.
That's
That's
going to be
increased.
Because we've had to bring in part-time employees
To
to watch.
supervise.
Increase that $23,000.
Right, and then part of that is in our budget we had a grounds person. Well, they didn't start until the middle of May, and so until the middle of May, they were run through the part-time facility position.
Well, that one new position should start generating, or at least should show up later in the year, hopefully.
As far as the sales position.
Yeah.
She is working on events now into that AmeriSuites. We had budgeted expectations of being in AmeriSuites in January or February, back when we went through the budget. As late as April, we were still wondering if we're going to get in there by June. If you recall, that was kind of when is this thing going to open? So we had about 5 months where we didn't even know, we had no access to those facilities to book. Now, what she has been working on are the events that can come in on a short-term basis, such as weddings. And you can see, based on what we went through earlier, that her work has been successful in getting events in. But she's also working on the events for the conventions that the Convention Bureau is referring to us.
Down the road.
And those are down the road. Some of them came in this year, but most of them are 2-3 years down the road. Rich, on the other hand, is working to maintain our existing clients instead of introducing a new person for them to interact with as far as negotiating their contract. Rich has been maintaining those contracts and contacts. So that is how we've been operating our marketing side. Maureen plugs in new events right now and working on those conventions long term, and Rich handling the short term, or the previous users, and also the equestrian.
No, are we going to continue to run the negative, or are we going to be able to pick some of that up with that short term?
We're continuing to pick up short term, but the negatives are going to. We are currently going through our projections of what we have in the books right now, and it looks like we're going to be in the negative, although we haven't had time to fully analyze the situation. We're going through step by step, line item by line item, every single event that we've got and every expense item, and looking for that.
Yeah. The negative is, no matter how we do it, is not good from our standpoint here because of our funding situation.
Absolutely. We fully understand that.
I'm jumping ahead, sorry.
Well, I just want to ask Ray, I had a conversation with the individuals of our meeting last week, so they're aware of what's going on. So, just let me know.
Well, I'm glad you did. When we look at where we are right now, the biggest line item we are down in our projections is $71,000 down in event services. That is, we're not booking we're not selling as much pipe and drape, tables and chairs, electrical services, all of those services that go into that revenue stream.
That doesn't show on this one.
That doesn't show.
We're
on
going
this.
to lose several large equipment events later in August and September.
Well, what do we attribute that to?
The Burby Food Show got bought out by Cisco, and so since Burby got bought out by Cisco, they're not having their food show here this year. The State Food School Show, that rotates, and so we get it like every 4 years. Last year we got it, this year we don't.
Yeah, but that's only a $3,900 expenditure. I mean,
On the revenue,
Uh-huh.
where you're going to look up to is 362.10.
What number are you?
362.1, and then the .15, and the 347.3.
The 63,000 versus 53.
So this year we're up right now, but come later this summer and fall, we're going to lose.
Those events were primarily in August. We had two. We had the Gem and Mineral Show. We were fortunate to get that. It was a regional event, and that'll be in Boise this year. And the year prior to that, it was in Salem.
We're not losing some of our shows to the new Coliseum. I mean, the new convention center.
We have been working with one promoter for a show. We've been talking to them about it. I saw this past weekend that event did take place at the new convention center. It was a consumer show, and my understanding was that they were not going to focus on consumer shows at all, that they were going to stay focused as a convention center on conventions, and that is not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that said, this weekend you saw that we were pretty busy and wouldn't have had room to put them in had they been into this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
However, that was an event that doesn't appear to me to be time sensitive.
But new shows is one thing, but existing shows, we keep our existing
That's-
clientele.
That has been our focus, and that's where Rich has been focusing on, is trying to maintain those. But again, these events that we just mentioned are rotating out. They come in, and then they'll go to a different place the next year.
And those you have no
But those
control.
should have been budgeted for this year anyway.
No, we had
Anyway.
anticipated some shows coming in and filling them up, and that hasn't happened at this point. And also, we'd expected to be in the Mayor Suites the first few months of the year, too. And we were going to get rentals from that on tables and chairs and electricity and so on. And because that didn't happen, we couldn't make those contracts. It's not working. So we are looking very seriously at how we've budgeted the rest of the year and how we look out. And I think in our revenue projections, our initial revenue projections, I think they're low. The reason I say that is we have 8 Hispanic dances scheduled the rest of the year.
That's good.
That's good in the fact that we only budgeted $13,700 revenue on each one. If you recall that conversation last week, we took in $30,000, and if it wasn't for the situation beyond our control with the INS issue, we fully expected that we could have done another possibly $15,000 or more in revenue on that one event. Again, we had only projected out $13,700 or $800. So there's a huge difference between what we're projecting and where we could end up, depending on
What happened?
on
what
the
takes
act.
place,
It's not. We do not control who comes in, but we are certainly impacted by their popularity. And we'll have a pretty good idea where we are after this weekend, which isn't a strong one. If we can
That's
get
the new
over on that.
new promoter.
The new promoter, if he does well this weekend, we could be significantly low. And I just did a thing. But on the other hand, if we do really well and hit that 30,000, which we've hit on 2 other events this year, the 2 other dances have hit 30,000 each. That if we continue to hit that, there's about $100,000 in that.
That's good. That's good. Because you may get a cancellation too.
Well, that's the point. Is
Yeah.
the market we're dealing with is are they going to cancel or not? Right now, we've got the contracts and everything, but we've seen in the past where those don't always take place. And again, we're very conservative on estimating. We're also looking at where we can cut any which way we can. And again, I'm not prepared to say which way is the best way to go right now until I have a better feel. on where we are with, especially with those dances. And again, this weekend's dance will tell us quite a bit, as will the next weekend with North.
Are you gonna be able to have those reports by the end of the week?
You would know immediately, we'll know Monday what we did on the Saturday dances.
Well, last week when we met, I asked that certain things we.
One of them
I've done.
One of them was done, and the other one was, I got the information, but I'm not satisfied with the information. I want to go through it myself, and staff has given me what they're projecting out, and I'm looking at it now.
And we still need by the end of the week to go over it.
All right. Next page, the food and beverage profit and loss. For May, 10,000 in income and 25,000 in expenses. It shows a loss of 14,000. Some of that was in receivables. The next page, if you do a year-to-date comparison.
I was looking at one thing that stands out, May of '03 and May of '04 for in-house catering. What is the difference there?
That in May we collected a $10,000 receivable in catering from the Lumberman show, and Lumberman's did not come back this year. So that's a big piece of that is the construction.
Yeah, but 10,000, that's still.
Yeah, most of that is receivables that had came in.
That's a huge amount.
That's what's difficult to get a hold of with this accounting system where we're going cash basis, is you don't know. It's difficult to take a look at that 33,000.
Well, you know, I guess what I'm suggesting that we show somehow what's outstanding in each line item. Do another column so we can see exact, because we're really not comparing apples with apples. I mean, if you know that you're going to have another $20,000 added to that 902 that's in receivables and that you'll collect it, then that wouldn't look so bad versus the 33.
That line, but we do come back to that on the receivables page, where we can look at that and we can identify that.
It'll be on there.
It's not broken down, is it, by item? I mean,
A good
I don't have that.
I mean, this,
I would have to
to
do that
me,
one.
this, you know, you look at the bottom line, 10,000 versus 54,000 on your total income for the month of May versus the month of May last year.
All we're talking about, just simplicity, so we can look at it and
Right.
pick it up quick, you know.
I think when you look at, on the invoice aging detail, couple back, when you look at that, the Visitor Convention Bureau, that was a mostly catered event. That was that Sports Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
That was that one. The Pacific Science Center had some of that.
That's all food and beverage.
That's
yeah.
food and beverage.
That's Battelle's lunch, but the Pacific Science Center pays for that.
And then the next one down, the Hawaiian auction, is $5,900.
But okay, if you add all of that up, the 15,000, and add 902, with what you've collected, doesn't even compare.
No, and like I
With the
said, most
33.
of that 33 was receivables. It wasn't done. It wasn't catering done in May of last year.
Wasn't cash in the hand.
Well, see,
No, it was receivables from.
I guess then, and I don't know how you can do it, Becky, but to me, this isn't comparing May with May.
You're looking at strictly the cash basis. is
Right,
what you-
and
That's what this report
and
is.
our
strictly
software.
cash,
That's
yeah.
all our
Yeah.
software can do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess then this report doesn't do me any good. It's no comfort to me. But I don't know how else we can do it.
Well, you can subtract those receivables out for May of 2003, or put a side note, X amount of receivables were received. The way I'm understanding it is that, on your receivables, you just happen to get a check for X amount of money that month, and that was thrown into here, that happened to be in that particular line. So you added that in there, so, if you were to just basically take that receivable amount out of there, or put it on the side and say receivables of X amount of dollars, then the report would be true.
Just on the side,
I
and
mean-
just look at it quickly. If you can do that, Becky, just.
Well, I couldn't do it on the side. I could do it because I'd have to go
Bottom
in
up.
You
and
could
type
Do
it.
another
I
column.
could do I'd have to go in and type it on a typewriter. I could do it on the bottom. I don't know if I could squeeze it in there
Why
or
couldn't you
not.
just put it on the bottom? Work
I
out.
can do it on the. I know I could do it on the bottom. I don't
Why-
know if I could squeeze it in.
Why don't you just put it on the bottom? We can pick it up there.
You can just handwrite it in as far as that goes.
We're looking for something easy, Becky.
Well, I can see if it will fit.
But if you put it on the
I
bottom,
can put it on the bottom for sure if I can't fit it up here.
that would work out.
The next page shows it just a year to date for food and beverage. Somebody had asked for this last month for me to include this. So far this year we've received $166,000 in total food and beverage income compared to the $167,000 last year.
Pretty close.
Yeah. $34,000 profit margin for this year compared to, or $34,000 net income compared to $42,000 last year.
Now that'll make up for that one show you said we didn't get this year.
Right.
See,
The
that's
$10,000
more
lumber.
that's more comparable to show what.
Right,
what
and I
the-
think that's. I mean, you might have been the one that asked about it last time, and that's why
We're
I started.
looking for
on this
comfort over
page.
here. No, that's not that bad.
That's no. See, I like this report.
Okay, the next one, the invoice aging, we've already talked about most of those. I don't think there's any concerns really on any of those. We did collect the City of Pasco subsidy, that $90,000.
That was from last year.
Yeah, that was last year's subsidy.
That they're just paying this year.
Oh my,
See, that's not right.
oh my. How are we billing them?
We invoice them out when
But-
Tom finishes his reports.
So
when
we
he
don't
gets
do it
everything
till
to
the end of the
balance.
year and then we go.
Well, it ends up being done in January, depending when Tom finishes his.
Yeah, but we pay our prior, don't we?
No, I invoice both this. What I do is I invoice for the debt, which is paid the 1st of December. I invoice that in November.
Do they pay that
They do pay that
right away because it's a debt?
Right, and then the subsidy I invoice when we have all of our receivables and everything
Was that
done.
the agreed upon way to do that on the subsidy? Because we could have two payments, and the second one would be the adjustment. Then we'd have
Well,
the
and
money
when I
to work on.
first came, I did it in 2 payments, and I was told not to do it in 2 payments, so I don't care.
It was something that we discussed because they would bill us for the subsidy when actually they didn't need the subsidy. So we said, until you need it, don't bill us. Because we were hoping that there would be no subsidy required if we paid it.
But is this
But-
90,000 all subsidy and nothing
That's
with
all
debt?
last year's, no debt. That's just operation
Just
subsidy
operation
So in
subsidy.
other words-
and capital improvements.
You know, we should have that subsidy billed in 2 amounts still. And if there has to be an adjustment, make it on the second payment of the subsidy.
Well, however you want to do it.
Well, that way we're working on their money too, not strictly the county money. Because I know they get our subsidy if and when they need it.
I can do it however.
That's something I think you need to discuss. With
I think however you want to do it.
if
Well,
we didn't have this paid since May of 31
Oh my.
of the next year for last year's expenses, that's not right. That's
But
not good.
They've admitted an error, an oversight.
Okay.
That's a pretty big oversight, however.
That
They
is
did
very
call and say,
oversight.
hey, that we've messed up.
But if we
haven't
had it, if we
So-
had it in 2 payments, then they wouldn't make as big an error and oversight, you know. I mean, we split. Personally, I like to see it split.
Now, what's with the Titans? That looks
They're-
kind of old.
This was from January. They will be paying us before this next year. They are coming back. They assured me that. In fact, they're having their tryouts over in the Coliseum over here in July, and they're going to be getting a cash flow at that point. We'll be paying it, and then we won't. The contract will have payment due at the time of the contract signing for this next season, for September, October, November, December, and then we'll have an amount due for January through March. So we'll get out of this situation.
Well, I thought we had to go to the 6 week.
Well, we do, but it's more with Takaha than the Titans because of the bond issue. It's a contract that is a 50-day running situation that they get to, that automatically rolls over, and it's tied to that. So I think we can arrange for that. They were in the same situation last year, and they covered it, and I don't anticipate any problems.
Okay.
All right, the next page is the revenues compared to what we have budgeted. $619,000 that we've collected so far, which is 45% of our budget. On the next page, our expenses so far were $660,000, which were 41% of our budget. So,
when you look at it on a straight line, 45% revenue in on a straight line would be 41. So at this point, there's no flags there. And then the expenditures, as Becky said, were 41.13, and on this flat line would be 41.67. So again, through May, we're on target. But our concern is June on.
Yeah.
May was not a good, I can't classify May as a good month. I think we got pretty close to breaking even when you count that dance in, that additional 30,000. But our task is to make up the difference of this summer and some of those bigger events that we lost in the fall. But
The only problem I have with this report is this report is 6 weeks out. We're looking at what happened at the end of May, and we're already in the middle of July.
We have been, this report could have been provided earlier, but we've been working on other projects, and we hadn't had time to analyze these numbers like we are right now. I would hate to come in here without having a better feel for where we are going to be, and addressing those issues and coming in here real early on
Well,
this.
the problem, again, that I have with this is that when you look at this, everything looks like it's assumed.
It does.
Everything looks all right. But after the meeting we had last week, things aren't looking all right.
Yes.
And this doesn't give us a lot of time to do damage control. And so, if there's any way possible to get, these reports that are more timely.
I do them as soon as I get reports from Tom. So if Tom can get my reports to me earlier.
What's the quickest that you get those back?
Well, I normally, I haven't even gotten my June reports from Tom yet, so I'm still waiting for those. And so I get those and I bounce all my accounts one day, and the very next day I do my report. So this was prepared June 17th, and that's about when I get my reports and can get it done. Now, I don't know what it takes for Tom to shoot out his reports. If he has stuff he has to balance.
So you have this information June 17th. is what you're saying.
Becky gave me this report at 4 o'clock on whatever day that was, on the 17th, just as I was heading out of town on vacation. So I hadn't had time to really look at it at that point.
But normally that won't happen.
No, I usually don't go for a week, and then we usually don't. As you recall, we've been working on some pretty big projects here, and it's dominated our conversation, and we hadn't analyzed this to the point where we're at right now is, you look at your numbers and you glance at it and you go, well, okay, we're about there, but reality, when we're really projecting out, saying, okay, what's happening the rest of the way, that's when the flag went up.
So with that, possibly by next week, you could come in with June's report.
Yeah, if we have it, sure could.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good, Marcel. Yeah.
But we are, as this morning, as all I was working on was projections, and analyzing what staff had provided me, saying, where are you at the rest of the year?
We're going to have to move ahead, I think, on this. We gotta.
Okay, one other item quickly, because it is time related, is I asked, did you get this claim, settlement claim? This was that water damage that took place in January, if you recall. They finally came out and looked at it, and they said that our full cost of repair is $29,300. Go to the second page and walk it down.
Where is that, Ray?
Second page.
It's in the
Yeah,
back.
it should be in the back.
Just
of
flip
that.
one more page behind your feet. No, one more page farther back.
Okay,
Now, one more page. There we go.
okay.
Full replacement cost $29,348. Depreciation they've indicated is $8,704. And again, this is electrical equipment in the electric room of the arena, emergency lighting.
And the insurance depreciated it that much?
This is what they say it was depreciated. The actual loss was $20,643. We have a $5,000 deductible, and they have sent us a check for $15,643. And what they're asking for a supplemental claim to recoup the
Depreciation.
depreciation is $8,704. Needs to be signed and submitted to them.
Oh.
ASAP.
So we might
we might get
that
a
back.
chance of getting that back. So
Okay.
one
There
of you
shouldn't be any
walk this
question
through.
on getting it.
I don't think so, but I've noticed the bottom line talks about, or one of the lines, number 8, it says replacement coverage within 180 days from the date of loss shown above. If you read
Well,
number
not
8, and if you go back to 1/6, they were beyond the 180 days.
Well, whose fault is that?
Well, we were late in getting it to them, and we've been sitting, but not to the point where this couldn't have been done.
Yeah.
We
How
just
late
got
were
this
we?
back last week.
How late were we?
We were a few months out. I don't remember how many days. But the point is this should have been done in April. That's when the insurance company got it, and we just here last week got this.
Well, outside the deductible, we should collect everything.
We
else.
should. So we will, with your permission, and if you would mind signing this original, this chair, we'll get it notarized. It does need to be notarized.
You need a motion?
Rebecca.
Rebecca's not here.
Pardon me?
Rebecca's not here. There's nobody else in this building.
Okay.
Well, I'll see if I can just
Little
run by
badge.
the prosecutor's office
Okay.
and what's her name?
Debbie Ford?
No, the other little gal in non-support.
I move for approval to have the chairman sign our claim to Scottsdale Insurance Company at the full cost of parent recurrent replacement as specified.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then I'll get it out to you.
That's very good. And finally, the last thing on the agenda is parking. We're trying to take a look at what our revenue streams and costs are, and our costs have gone up on our security, and that is who we have out there with our parking lot, and also inside with liquor. But as far as the parking lot management goes, we are at $2 per car, and we have been at $2 per car for, what, about 6 years now, something like that. And we'd like to recommend that we increase our parking fees out of track I would like to see a $2 increase, but a $1 increase is certainly better than nothing.
Well, but with that, is it because our parking is kind of chopped up and we have to give so much direction where people park for certain events?
That is part of it, but the fact is we also hold those people over to provide services on the out, as far as getting them out of those parking lots longer, and we're also doing addressing issues of vandalism out there, and if not theft.
I move we raise the parking at track to $3 per car.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Private.
Here it is, Dave.
You're welcome.
I talked to Bruce Whipple.
Oh, excuse me.
I already spoke to him, and when we're supposed to document the whole
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Well, I thought you were
talking
someone else.
to Frank alone. Maybe.
We know we're going to have more revenue.
This is the original.
No, but it's a copy.
If you give the original
Yeah.
to take,
Yeah.
I mean, after you sign
Oh,
it. After it's been signed.
After it's been notarized.
If that's okay, because that's what that is.
Then should I ask him to?
You asked him, please.
Thought you were someone else.
So did I.
Did you want to address the board?
You know, I could talk to Fred privately, or I could talk to the whole board. It all depends on how you guys would like to address the issue.
I tell you, we're little.
Well, we're running a little late,
We're
but
running
I
late.
apologize for just leaving you sit in the audience. I thought you were here for a personal appointment with Mr. Brock. Let's see, where are we at?
Well, we have to deal with Fred, and then I've got an appointment here that I'm running late on. So maybe if you could talk to Fred, it would work out a bit.
This affects Fred, it affects planning, it affects everybody. But it doesn't have to be at an official meeting. I can talk to Fred separately, he can come back and
Well,
talk to
could
the board.
you just give us a little?
My name is Ruel Klemple. I work for the City of Pasco. I'm the wastewater manager for the City of Pasco.
You're the new man.
Yeah, but I'm not, I've been there 4 months.
Yeah.
But I'm not here representing the city. I'm here on my own.
Okay.
When I took that position 4 months ago, I signed an agreement with the City of Pasco that I would move within 30-minute drive of the treatment facility, which means I got some property out by Merrill's Corner, started working on that, putting septic, water, everything in so I can get my family moved down here. Then, Friday, I get a call from my wife, I'm in some interviews at City Hall there, that the county shows up and they says, you got 2 hours to get out of your place. And
No, you're not Matthew's Corner.
You're the gentleman I talked to
That's
Friday on the
correct.
phone.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, well,
You're at Agape is where you are, yeah.
That's correct. We've been there 4 years on that facility. When we moved in there 4 years ago, I was the public works director for Othello. Don had us move up there. He says, well, it's zoned agriculture. I can have 1 family on agriculture on a building up here. I've got 25 acres down by Othello. I farm. I use the shop buildings up there for agriculture uses. I had my equipment up there. I've repaired it. I've moved it back and forth. My family's been up there. We've kind of just taken care of that stuff up there. So then my question was one of 2 things. Was the decision on the county a vindictive act against Don Butcher, or was it for health and safety?
Oh,
Well, it certainly wasn't vindictive. I want to say
I
that
don't
right
even
before I
know who
stand.
that gentleman is. I
He's
wouldn't
the
know him.
one, basically the only one on the board for Agape Ministries at the current time.
Right, but I don't even know who the gentleman is. I wouldn't know him if he walked in the door. So it's not vindictive. It's
If-
safety and health.
If it was safety and health, follow me through on this,
Uh-huh.
then the worst building on that whole complex that's the closest to the public is right when you drive in. It's the old Officers Club. It's right outside the gate. It's on that piece of property. If you walk in that doors, you'll find all the ceilings collapsed, the walls collapsed.
Where's your place? Do you have that double wide out front?
No.
He's in one of the barracks.
We're one of the barracks that they've got. We just live in one of the barracks. It's like a house inside. It's bedrooms upstairs. It's got kitchen, dining room, and
Yeah.
everything else. Okay, so you got this building that is the closest to the public. That's the most dangerous building out there. They got the doors closed on one side, but you could probably go on the other
Of course,
side.
we can go on. I don't want to stop
Yeah.
you, but we'll go on forever debating
Well,
which is the most useful
No,
out there.
let me finish what I'm talking about. They did not even mark that building. They did not even tag it.
Well,
Then-
then it's going to be tagged.
It would
Then,
be.
then what do? They go up and they tag the pump house, which supplies water for 28 houses across the road, and they put tape on it that you can't even go in the thing. Now, the thing tripped out. I had to go up there and reset the breakers on the thing over the weekend on the pump house. And I'm not supposed to even enter this building. Okay, they're creating a greater health hazard than what they're trying to correct. Next of all, they would not even walk in our house and check the thing out. They just tag it. Never bothered to even come in there and see if this thing is even safe to live in.
Unfortunately, the point is, nobody's supposed to be in those buildings at all.
Hold it.
That's
now,
right.
The next issue
This-
on that.
this-
Hold it.
This debate's gonna go on forever here, really.
Okay.
We got a meeting to finish, all the citizens finish their meeting, and then you can talk it out individually. This is the type of thing we need to talk out individually. Then if you don't get the agreement, you're gonna appeal it back to us. But
I'm
we
just
haven't got
requesting-
time to listen to a long dissertation.
Okay,
I'm not
then
trying to cut you off.
all I'm requesting. This is all I'm requesting. One is I don't want to be up there. I want to move out of there anyway. So I've got equipment. I've got shop buildings. All I'm requesting is the following: is I have 60 days. Is all I'm requesting for me and my family. And they take, because I can't even get in my buildings. They've got them all taped off. My shop buildings with my equipment. But they get the tape off my buildings and the stuff off there so I can get in and get my stuff out.
You need to talk that
all
over with the
I
planning,
want.
with the planning department who marked the buildings and the reason they marked them. And if there's some way we can help you, we certainly will. Absolutely, we'll work with you. They said you were trying to buy a new double or triple wide here. Is that correct?
Well, I already bought it. I've just got to get the
And get a
stuff.
placement on it.
Next of all, I just request some cooperation on which.
Sit down with the
Friday
planning
we get in.
department. Sit down with the
Because
planning department, and they'll work with you.
all I say, this story here, the media would just love to get their hands on it.
If you want to go to the media, just you go. I mean, you're
No,
invited
I'm
by us
saying,
to do
I
it.
want to give the county a good name. I don't want to give the
That-
county a bad name. That's not the point.
I
But what
can't
I'm-
imagine that the state fire marshal is the one that condemned that up there for safety and health.
When they had the
issues.
Agape there years ago.
When they had the school there. And they had certain criteria to bring those buildings up to code. We were not under the impression that there was anyone up there, let alone living there with children. And the wiring is clear back to the 60s, or maybe even earlier than that, when the government did it. And if the
It goes
Agape
back to the radar
Corporation,
installation there.
if the Agape Corporation wanted to bring those buildings up to code, they would have been inspected by the fire marshal, but they had never been, and so we were unaware that anyone was up there.
Yes, you were, because the sheriff's been up in our house several times over the past year about issues with neighbors. They know we're there. Paige Sally knows I'm up there.
They neglected to tell us.
Yes.
They neglected to tell us. The sheriff may have been there, but they neglected to tell us, or we'd have the planning department and our building inspector out there before. I'm not sure how we were made aware of that, Jared.
There was a complaint.
Okay,
Over
we responded to a complaint.
Over the cardboard boxes.
the multiple junk litter, debris, cars.
And granted, there is a message on it.
Yes.
You and I, why don't the three of us sit down? We can get this thing worked out. You know, our whole intent is not to throw people out on the streets. I mean, that's not what we want.
But my
on the
intent
other
is
hand-
the buildings not burn up and somebody die, and then it would be the onus would be on us. I mean, you're going to be working for a public municipality, and you're going to have to go by strict laws and rules through your
Correct.
employment.
You guys have even violated the rules that you have already set up, because I have a house sitting out there at Merrill's Corner. It was built probably in the 60s. It's a 40 by 48 house. It's sitting on blocks still. It was moved in and been sitting there for 6 years. I walked into the planning and building department. I asked them, do I need a permit for this building? They told me, no, you don't. It falls under the old regulations and codes. All you got to do is get the permit for the foundation. Okay, if I don't have to get a permit for that building...
Yeah, we're going to be forever on this. Let's just cut it off. You two guys get together with him and get it resolved. This debating here is going to do us no good, because we're not going to solve it here. You've got to get together. We'll work with you. I give you my word, we'll work with you. And you do what you have to do as far as going to the Tri-City Herald. But in the meantime, if you need so much time, get together and we'll see if it's possible. If it's not, we'll let you know. Okay. Fred, do you have some more?
Yeah, I do. Are you going to be around for a while?
What time can I meet with you?
You know what? I'll be done here in about 15 minutes, probably. And I'll be here till lunch.
Sorry.
And then I will be present. I won't be available, so I'm going to be, I have a meeting with Mr. Brock and another.
Yeah, that's fine. I can talk to you. Okay. Okay. You still have my agenda.
I,
I've got your agenda here, Fred.
Suits is right there.
well, I'll find it. It's somewhere. Right here.
Okay, this one here is an inter-budget transfer of $155,921 from the capital projects to the courthouse restoration. If you recall, we basically refunded the capital projects, the 155, and that was for the work release center that was brought out of the Point 08 money. We reimbursed that by that. So what we're doing now is we're transferring that reimbursement out to our courthouse restoration, and that's $155,000.
And that's okay to do, huh?
Yes, basically the
336, Mary?
Yes.
2004-336.
Right.
I move the approval of resolution 2004-336 as specified.
Second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
According to Jeff Navi, that's absolutely
Good. We need all the help we can get. I'm here to tell you.
okay. All right, the next one, you ready?
You bet.
Next one is the intra-budget transfer of $500 within the GIS budget from training to office supplies.
I move for approval.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All these extra little duties I have.
I'm glad you're doing them for me.
Do you want to explain to Mr. Brock while he's signing what we did in regard to the imaging situation with the clerk's office? Did you happen to see that in the minutes or any of your material?
What had happened was, it was a few months back, you basically approved different funding sources to provide imaging systems for the clerk's office. The majority of it, I believe, came out of the auditor's O&M.
Yes, I remember that.
And as it turned out, there was an additional software expense of about $9,000 or $11,000.
Yeah.
It was assumed, I guess, that was going to come along with the system, but as they found out later that was an additional charge to do that. So Mike and our IS director came in to ask approval, and they were going to take the funds out of two different sources. One was the computer replacement of the IS department, which I felt was probably not a very good move to do because even though looks fine right now, there's a limited amount of money for computer repair and replacement. So in the discussions that we had, Kevin had brought up the fact that he had a vacant position for a while, which was one of his technicians. Yes, where that was, and that it was suggested that the money be taken out of that personnel line item rather than take it out of the computer repair.
Well, and then Mike wanted to use money, reimbursement or something that we used as revenue, and Fred
It came in the general fund.
yeah, said it would come in the general fund, that just because you're bringing that money in, it doesn't belong to your budget, you know. And so, I mean, I balked on both of those accounts, and then Kevin said, well, I thought you didn't want to take salary line items out, and I said, well,
once it's past that time, once it's been used or past that time, that's great to use it.
Yeah, but rather than non-debatable items, same way with the
salary line items I like to get.
yeah. But anyway, I wanted you to be aware of that.
Yeah. So, I don't see that the county really had a choice. I mean, after spending about $70,000.
Oh, you got to go forward.
So,
Yeah, it distresses me though that
That you're off that much, yeah.
those I's aren't dotted and T's crossed before and when it's presented to us full bore because,
I
it's
agree
just
fully.
like that darn computer business outfit that we purchased for the treasurer assessor that time. I don't know. I forget what the amount was, but it was a goodly amount.
Oh, God, we had to
And
buy that twice.
we lost it.
We lost the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that was back before we required IS to go through these, and I hope that we don't have that in the future because of that.
Okay.
the next one was the RV park replacement, which was already approved, or refreshment, I'm sorry.
We discussed that.
Which was approved.
More we discussed.
Well, yes, but you need to make a motion there regarding that request. Basically, I guess the motion would state that
I move that we...
Tenure, based on tenure.
I move that we deny the request made by the Sheriff's Department to raise our jail captain to a new classification based on tenure.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, do we have anything else to do? How much did the move from Superior Court cost us?
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that yet. I'll look at that and get
So
back.
should we quickly go listen to it? Did you want to say something?
I just had a couple of flashes on.
We've caused enough trouble already, Jerry.
I apologize.
I don't think that's going to cut it this time. I'm going to go meet with him.
Put that guy up.
Well, you just hold your ground for us. He's way off base. How long's he lived there? 4 years?
4 years illegally. And his contention was last week that every parcel should be allowed a single-family residence. Well, yes, that's correct, but this is not a single-family residence. This is a commercial barrack that was illegally.
The problem that we have here is it's not his fault. It's his land.
I understand.
I
Which
don't
you
think it's his fault. Okay.
This is a short plat from Mark and Mary Mathis. It's short plat 2004-07.
It's
They-
338.
They received preliminary approval on June 21st, 2004, have met all of the conditions and are seeking final approval and the chairman's signature on the plat.
I move for approval of Resolution 2004-338 as specified.
All in favor? I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Man, that's kind of hard to find. But I wasn't going to ask.
You know, we're dealing with an old barrack that they illegally converted to a single-family residence
Without permits?
without permits. The septic tank permit is expired. It is truly a health and safety issue.
Yeah. Well, and
100%.
then he's going to work for the city of Haskell?
He already does. He's their wastewater manager.
Yeah, he took the fellow's place that we have on the Water Conservancy Board. The other guy was Kenaway.
The thing of it is, Merle's Corner isn't 30 minutes away, is it? Can you drive that? 30?
It's 17 miles to my house. So,
20, 25 minutes.
in fact, my brother and mom lives out, just out of Basin City, and that qualified for 30 minutes for transportation.
I'll be darned, I would not. In the wintertime, you're not going to make it in 30 minutes.
I'm just counting.
And the initial,
Yeah.
I'm not, my computer's down, so I'm not able to turn this on and off right now safely. So,
Okay.
and the statement, and this is a record, what he said was, we came in and said you got 2 hours to be out. We gave him, we said, well, first of all, we'll be back Monday. You need to be packed up. And then I talked to Fred, and Fred talked to Frank and Neva, and he was given more time than 2 hours, which he stated. So.
Oh, yeah, we understand that.
But I said you still need to red tag it. And,
Yeah.
And
You know, if a guy comes in and wants to work with you don't come in the way this guy came in.
And the reason some of the buildings are red tags is because we ran out of red tag. There's so many buildings and structures.
Yeah.
We went through a whole roll of emergency tape and red tags and duct tape. And anyway, this is a short plat for Luis and Mrs. Salcedo that they received preliminary approval on June 2nd, 2004, and are seeking final approval and chairman's signature on the plat.
Is that 339?
yes.
I move the approval of resolution 2004-339 as specified.
Second the motion.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye. And another thing, I was thinking.
They have
That's
no other
dangerous.
approval to be up there other than to have someone come up and mow the grass and keep the weeds down.
Jared, do you want to call Bruce Whipple?
I just called him, told him you would be done by 10 minutes.
Okay, good.
I went in through one of the structures, and it was infested with bats.
Yeah. I wouldn't even go in it.
Oh, I quickly left.
Not bad.
They had remember how we had a 3-year-old open septic tank?
Yeah.
We had open septic tanks on the property. The lid's off, open, filled with storm water.
I mean, I can't imagine this.
None of these buildings were locked. I mean, steel, twisted steel and concrete. There was probably 200 refrigerators on the property where any kid could crawl in and get stuck. You know, they got
Every violation in the world.
every safety violation in the world. And they had dozens
And
of
the
cars
way
with open
his
trunks. And
appearance and everything, you would think that he would absolutely be impeccable where he lived. Well,
But he was on the Agape Bowl.
sure.
Is that correct?
I have no
Sure.
idea.
They're going to start up again. They're going to try.
I'd heard rumors on that.
Are you adjourned? Yes. We are adjourned.
Okay.